Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Creatively Bankrupt. I am your host, John the Mark, and joining me, as always, is the main man, is the big man, is the king of all your questions. This is, of course, the one, the only Dennis
And I've
Richards.
got one question for you, John. Are you ready?
I'm so ready, Dennis. I'm ready for today's.
No, John, I said, are you ready for Creatively Bankrupt?
I'm ready, and everybody, let's get ready to suck it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, calm down, John, okay? This is a family show, nice and clean, okay? Let's not get vulgar. A nice, clean show, okay? Professional, yeah? All right, first question. Go.
Fair enough. Well, first question I actually have this week is from a listener called Jess. Jess is basically writing in regards to a comment you made last week about The Undertaker.
Yeah.
You said that you personally would have ended The Undertaker's streak earlier than WrestleMania 30. So when would you have ended the streak and who would you have had do it?
I think the question is, when wouldn't I have ended the streak? I think the streak outlived its usefulness by WrestleMania 23. I think
What?
15-0, a good decade and a half. It was a nice number. I personally think the story wrote itself that Edge the following year should have definitely defeated the Dead Man 16-1. And there was serious consideration given to it. I was pitching for it all the time, constantly. Vince, he was 90% going to go through with it, but unfortunately, Edge felt that he was not the right man to defeat The Undertaker. So The Undertaker's streak lived on at WrestleMania 24.
Well, I mean, Edge beating the streak would have been good. Like, he would have been a great candidate to do it. But, like, you can't say there was no value to the streak. Like, the streak was as big as the world title matches. You know, everybody looked forward to see who The Undertaker was going to face and if somebody could end the streak. It was a massive attraction.
It was a massive attraction, but for me personally, I definitely thought that 15-0 was the maximum believability. I think that any further than that, and you lose your audience. And I just thought that Edge was the right man to do it with his character, the ultimate opportunist. He would do anything to win. He would lie, cheat, and steal. No pun intended towards Eddie Guerrero, but he would do everything that he could to defeat the Dead Man. He had La Familia there by his side. He had the general manager in Vicky Guerrero. All the stars aligned to give the Undertaker an out, essentially. And Edge could have easily defeated the Dead Man, and it would have popped huge. It wouldn't have been a clean finish by any stretch, but it would have gotten Edge over as the most devious man in sports entertainment.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, it would have been done a lot for Edge, but then, you know, so the next time it came up was the Brock Lesnar, and that's when you guys went with the streak. So
Yeah.
there was that kind of 6-year period when the streak kind of remained intact, and then Brock Lesnar was the next person chosen to beat the streak, but he did go for it. So nobody in between that would have broken the streak.
Well, as I say, Edge wasn't the man at WrestleMania 24, but you know, we had Shawn Michaels the following year, and look at the epic match that they put together on that pay-per-view. And in many ways, that saved the pay-per-view, because that pay-per-view, you know, if I could go back, if I could turn back time, then, you know, that pay-per-view would have ended a lot differently. We would have ended with Shawn and Taker. Triple H and Orton would not have gone on last. That was the wrong move entirely.
Yeah, I agree.
A WrestleMania pay-per-view event. But Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, it was the match of the night, and that's what had people talking.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, I mean, yes. Yes, Dennis, you're right. I agree. Yeah. Great.
So you can only imagine how disappointed I was when Vince wanted to rehash that same match the following year. And I just wasn't up for it. I thought there was a far better story at large that actually started in the WrestleMania 25 match.
Between Taker and Shawn Michaels?
Between Taker and Shawn Michaels. There was another story that, you know, if you weren't paying attention, it would have went over your head. You wouldn't have noticed it. But being, you know, a wrestling aficionado, as I am, a professional, I discovered this story, and I pitched it to Vince. I said, Vince, who did you have as the cameraman in that match?
Cameraman.
I mean, do you remember?
Is that... What do you mean? Well, remind me again. It's been a long time.
Well, there was that spot where Undertaker was clearly out of position, and one Sim Snuka, who was the cameraman, had to, you know, run and try and save his ass as best he could. But Undertaker put everybody at risk in that scenario. He nearly landed on his head, and the Undertaker nearly ruined that entire spot. But Sim Snuka saved him. Okay?
No, Sim Snuka was in the wrong spot. He missed his mark.
No, the Undertaker was out of position. If you go back and look at that match,
He had a position in midair.
if you look back at that match closely, you would see that the Undertaker was off by a fraction of an inch. Had he been a fraction of an inch closer, then Sim Snuka would not have had to put his life at risk to save.
But he had to move into position. Undertaker's in the air, unable to adjust his position. He has to come in there.
The point is, both men survived the spot. Okay, despite Taker's idiocy, both men survived the spot. And I think because Sim Snuka was the cameraman, the special cameraman at ringside, I think that was a match that we definitely could have promoted for WrestleMania 26 in the aftermath of that, you know?
So Undertaker just goes out and beats Sim Snuka.
No, Sim Snuka wins. And he also avenges the loss that Jimmy Snuka had years prior at WrestleMania 7, the Undertaker's very first win at WrestleMania against Jimmy Snuka, and Sim Snuka avenges that.
Sim Snuka beats The Undertaker at WrestleMania in your eyes.
Yes, that was my pitch, but Vince wouldn't go for it. Anyway, that was WrestleMania 26. Then we get to 27, and then Vince wanted to do the Triple H match.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it was a fine match, definitely. I mean,
great.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a fine match. Personally, not the match I would have booked. I would have went a completely different direction. And again, I would have went back on a story that happened 2 years prior when this character was particularly hot, but he cooled off. And I definitely think that, a match with The Undertaker definitely could have increased his aura or got his aura back up to the level it was at in 2008, 2009, before he, took a nosedive popularity-wise and booking-wise. And that man is Vladimir Kozlov. Now, obviously, we would have had to work hard to remove the stench of the association with Santino Marella, because on that same show, Kozlov ultimately would end up working an 8-man tag, but I wanted him to face Taker, man. I think that him and Taker could have torn the house down like they did on SmackDown 2 years prior. Instead, we went with Shawn Michaels when Vladimir Kozlov easily could have put on the same level of a show-stopping match. But ultimately, we missed out on that. At WrestleMania 25, we missed out on it again at WrestleMania 27. The stars in the line, and Kozlov, he wasn't ready, according to Vince. We could have had Santino at ringside cheering him on.
So WrestleMania 27, you wanted Kozlov to face The Undertaker 2 years in a row, as compared to that Hell in a Cell match we got at WrestleMania 28.
No, what I wanted was then Santino Marella to step up. Basically the same story. So Vladimir Kozlov vows to end the streak. He doesn't get it done in 2011. And then we have Santino Marella stepping up in 2012 to challenge The Undertaker. He gets sent down. And then at WrestleMania 29, instead of the Punk match, we would have had Santino Marella versus The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, end of an era, with Vladimir Kozlov providing services as the special referee. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen, unfortunately.
Good.
Yeah, unfortunately for 28, we ended up repeating the same match again inside the cell with Triple H and The Undertaker, with Shawn Michaels as the guest referee. And, it was okay. It was fine, but not what I would have booked.
God, so that's what you would have done. You would have, instead of having Triple H twice and then CM Punk leading into Brock Lesnar, you'd have had a trilogy involving Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov.
Yeah, I think they were the unsung heroes of that era, and with the right push, and Taker loved those guys. He was always laughing, goofing around with those guys backstage, and he would have happily put them over. Definitely.
Put them over. So
yeah.
Undertaker's losing to Kozlov or Santino Marella at WrestleMania.
Yeah. If I had my way, yeah.
If you had your way. What next? Bret Hart doing a Money in the Bank ladder match?
Not so much a Money in the Bank ladder match, but again, he was another guy, and this is going back to WrestleMania 26, that I think we missed the boat on him. So as a backup choice, outside of Kozlov, outside of Santino Marella, I was really pushing to get Bret Hart back in the fold, and he was another option that I was really pushing for. If we couldn't get Santino or we couldn't get Kozlov, Bret Hart, I thought, was going to be a really good second choice next to them. And I think him and The Undertaker, again, could have put on a great series of matches. But unfortunately, something to do with health insurance, and
Bret couldn't wrestle at the time.
you know, yes, maybe
Couldn't wrestle. He was injured. He had
maybe
a
not
concussion.
wrestle, maybe not wrestle, but there could have been spectacle. We could have put bells and whistles, interference, all the gaga. We could have put all that in, and it would
Like the
have.
Vince McMahon match.
Well, as we put in the Vince McMahon match, we could have put that tenfold in the matches with Taker.
But that was terrible.
Well, that's your opinion. Look at the box office buys, my friend. WrestleMania 26, Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon. You know, everybody was coming out of that event talking about Shawn Michaels, the Undertaker. You know, but I was coming away saying, "Good God, man, Bret Hart, what a performance!" You know, what a performance.
He could barely move. Like, I love Bret Hart as much as the next guy. Bret's one of my all-time favorites, but he could barely move around the ring. It was sad. He hit Vince with a chair like 20 times. I mean, it was sad to see.
And when was the last time you saw 20 chair shots in a match? You know, it was violent. It was violent, and we don't see that level of violence. And Bret Hart, he brought that realism to it, man. You know, I mean, in a real fight, you would get gassed, and Bret Hart brought that to it. You know, it wasn't all just, you know, solid fluid movements. It wasn't all flippy shit. No, he got right down and dirty with a physical brawl, chair shots. You know.
Mm-hmm. So that was your booking direction for The Undertaker.
Was my booking direction for The Undertaker. Yeah. So Taker, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that those matches didn't pan out for you. But you know, nothing but respect. Enjoy your retirement. And that's from me, Dennis Richards, and obviously John DeMarc. He's paying tribute to you right now, dressed as you, with the hood. Good call, John. Good call. So if you're watching this, enjoy your retirement, buddy. But just think of all those matches that you could have had. Vladimir Kozlov, Santino Marella. Heartbreaking.
Guys, my name is Alex.
And I'm Alan.
And together we are...
Creatively Bankrupt.
Yes, we are. But this guy here, Alan, he is, of course, the genius mind behind Vince vs. Creative. So if you guys wanted to be the nicest person in the world, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, head on over to Facebook, look up Vince vs. Creative, and give this man a like, because not only does he deserve it, I think you will find that Vince vs. Creative and Creatively Bankrupt are such good shit.